Bang for your buck. Right now is a smart time to make your reservations and call Low Cost Airlines. With one phone call, you can let us do all the work for free. We'll shop hundreds of airlines, hotels, resorts, and give you a way to save huge money on your vacation plans. And if you call right now, we'll give you a free hotel room with a qualified travel purchase. So call right now.
Call right now. 800-648-9175. 800-648-9175. 800-648-9175. That's 800-648-9175.
If you're a veteran looking to file for your service-connected benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, don't go it alone. AMVET's highly trained service officers stand ready to walk you through the process at VA regional offices around the country, helping you to navigate the complex VA system free of charge. With new presumptions for Agent Orange exposure and other conditions, AMVETS can offer you the advice you need to finally receive all of your earned benefits. In 2009 alone, AMVETS helped process more than 65,000 claims and appeals, securing more than $410 million in benefits. To find your nearest AMVET service officer or to learn more,
HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Former President Trump is blasting GOP senators for not doing more to investigate President Biden's alleged history of corruption. Correspondent Bob Agnew with that report.
The former president says all GOP senators who refuse to demand answers about the Biden family's finances should be primaried. The ramped-up rhetoric comes even as many GOP senators openly oppose Trump winning the party's presidential nomination and are taking a wait-and-see attitude about the investigations into then-Vice President Biden's alleged influence peddling during the Obama administration. Many Senate Republicans also remain leery of supporting Trump in his legal battles, given his polarizing effect on some moderate Republican and independent voters. Bob Agnew reporting.
In consumer news, correspondent Rita Foley reports on rising gas prices.
Gas is $3.78 a gallon today, up 15 cents in a week, says the AAA. A month ago, gas was 25 cents cheaper than today. Prices rise as supply falls. But think back to a year ago. Gas was $4.21 a gallon.
Correspondent Rita Foley. Also at townhall.com. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, speaking in Russian, saying the threat exists after being asked about a drone strike on a Moscow skyscraper. Russian authorities have accused Ukraine in yet another drone attack on Moscow. One of the drones hit the same building in the capital that was damaged by a drone in a similar attack Sunday. Israeli authorities say a Palestinian gunman has opened fire at an Israeli settlement east of Jerusalem, wounding at least 6 people before being shot and killed. That shooting in the sprawling Jewish settlement of Malal Adumim in the occupied West Bank. The Dow is ahead 69 points, but the NASDAQ is down 46. More at townhall.com.
The government is spying on you. No surprise, I know. But did you know the banks are helping them? And did you know that withdrawing your cash from the bank can be very risky? That's right. Let Swiss America educate you about this. Banks are now required to spy on us for the government, and they report any behavior they think is suspicious. You'll be shocked when you read The Secret War on Cash from Swiss America. This new war against cash is really a war against the Constitution, against all freedom-loving Americans. You must read The Secret War on Cash. Get your free copy by calling or texting 800-266-6082. That's 800-266-6082. This war on cash is growing daily, and it also includes all forms of digital money. So please get and read The Secret War on Cash free by calling or texting right now at 800-266-6082. That's 800-266-6082. Message and data.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Skies should become partly cloudy this afternoon with a high temperature in the upper 80s, but looks like more rain potential tonight from the metro area, especially to the southwest. and that could pose a threat for some flooding. We could also see a strong thunderstorm or two, very low threat of severe storms overnight with that low temperature near 70 and a high tomorrow of 82 degrees. And again, the potential for some heavy rain around, especially in the early part of the day on Wednesday, and also some flooding potential. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday afternoon here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo. My partner is Katie Fitzpatrick, and we are so happy to be here with you once again.
Once again. Yes, we are.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's a beautiful day outside.
It is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like the
75?
crazy heat. Yeah. The record heat, which I actually have a story about, the heat waves across the country that we were dealing with. Like, those storms came through the other day, and it's been 70 degrees ever since.
Wiped the heat away, thank God.
Not 70, but it is like in the low 80s.
75, I
Yeah,
think.
something like that out there. So I'll take it. I'll take it for August, which we need to talk about. It's August. It's August.
This summer, when do the kids go back to school?
Soon, in just a few weeks. Now, if 2 years ago, glad you brought that up. 2 years ago, they would have been going back like in a week because there was basically no August in summer break anymore. But the Missouri legislature a couple of years ago passed a law that said you can't have kids go back to school a certain amount of Mondays or something like that before Labor Day.
Gotcha.
So the earliest is now late August, sometime in late August that they can go back. Yeah.
Lucky duckies.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous because I wrote a song years ago called "Give Me Back August."
And the state legislature
about the kids doing school because it was so ridiculous how early. I remember when I was in high school. I remember vividly my senior year of high school. I played football, and we had to start our summer 2-a-day practices on August 8th. And I remember thinking how much that sucked because I had to basically my days were committed, my days were spoken for every weekday, just like a school day. I wasn't going to school, but it was 2-a-day practices. So I had practice in the morning and practice in the afternoon. So you couldn't do anything. You couldn't make plans. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything with those days, just like school days. They were basic, and you had to wake up early and all of that. Just go to bed early, wake up early, all of that. So and I remember thinking to myself, I lost a whole month of my summer vacation.
Absolutely.
And that was and it was because I was playing football. Then years later, when I become a dad, my kids are going back to school on like August 9th, August 10th. When I was a kid, the day that I thought was like crazy, ridiculously early, and
Totally.
because I had to do this summer program with football, was now when they were starting school.
Crazy.
So they changed that a couple of years ago, and I personally think very correctly.
Oh yeah, smart choice.
And now school doesn't start until late August.
Wow, that is so.
But they were it was starting
lucky.
in like the second week of August.
I think we talked about this. I started the first week of August in high school
Really?
and middle school.
That's crazy.
I don't ever remember going as late as mid-August, even Labor Day. Never did any of that.
Yeah, Labor Day was always like the first or second weekend of school for me. Like when I was in school. Yeah. It was
Wow.
yeah. It was
That
like
is crazy to think about.
Yeah. So at least they fixed that. At
Yes,
least
they
they
did.
gave us back August. They gave the kids
They
back
listened to
August.
you.
So the kids have a few weeks left. But not many. Not many.
Happy or sad
Just a
that
few
summer's
more
over.
weekends. Me?
Yes.
It's both. It's both.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely some benefits to summer, but there's definitely also some confusion. Like, as you know, like and this for a lot of parents are like this. Our summer schedule is bizarro because of daycare and things like that, and so getting that structure back, and that consistency back,
Routine.
and that routine back is good. But there's some cool things about summer even now.
Yeah.
With
I love
having the
summer.
kids home and things like that. So it's a mixed bag.
Good
It's a
for
mixed
them.
bag. But yeah, only a few weeks left. I can't believe today is August 1st.
Here we are.
It's August. It's the 8th month. It's the 8th month of 2023, which
This
still
year
feels to me
creeped
like it just started. It
Mhm.
feels to me like 2023 is like young.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
We're in the 8th month. It's nuts. We are going to talk to Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com here in just a few minutes. It being Tuesday means that Crane will be with us for most of the 2 o'clock hour. Also, speaking of the weather outside, we're going to be joined by Dave Sylvester from Gutter Pros a little bit later on in the 3 o'clock hour, about a little more than an hour from now. So, looking forward to talking to those gentlemen as we go through the day today and get you caught up on everything that's happening in this world, specifically with the Devin Archer testimony. We could be learning more details, like a lot more details, very soon. There hasn't been too much more information that's come out since we were talking yesterday afternoon. So the news was breaking pretty much right at this time yesterday afternoon. He was leaving the courtroom right about this time, just as the show was starting, and we were getting those initial reports from both Republicans and Democrats from what was said in the closed-door testimony with Devin Archer. And since then, we haven't really learned too much more. However, there's a push to have the entire transcript released to the public, which I think is appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Democrats that are pushing for it, but I agree. I think that I am always for transparency. But it seems like the Democrats are really digging in, doubling down on this idea that we discussed yesterday, that Devin Archer did reveal that Joe Biden was put on the phone 20 plus times with Hunter Biden's business associates, but allegedly, Devin Archer testified that he was put on the phone to promote the brand. That's in quotes, promote the brand. However, he said that he never heard him directly address any business arrangements or, this for that.
Yeah, they're smart
kind
enough
of
to use some
agreement, right?
language, yeah.
So the Democrats are digging in and saying, look, he did not say, Devin Archer never testified to the fact that Joe Biden had any knowledge of the business dealings, had any knowledge of agreements or plans being made by Hunter Biden and his business associates. So that's what they're going with. We're just supposed to believe that he was put on the phone 20 plus times to say hi.
Can't believe that story. Cannot believe that story.
The only House Democrat who attended the House Oversight and Accountability Committee closed-door meeting with former Hunter Biden associate Devin Archer today called for Chairman James Comer to release the full transcript of Archer's interview. He said, quote, "I would urge Chairman Comer, rather than to continue to send out misinformation about what transpired in the transcribed interview, to actually put out the transcript, which he can do as soon as he wants." This is Representative Dan Goldman from New York, who was all over yesterday, being the one Democrat that was in the room. He was interviewed over and over yesterday. We saw him. I'm sure you saw his pictures if you were watching the news at all. He goes on to say, quote, because I think anyone who reads the transcript, and I was there, so I could tell you what happened, would come away from that believing that Joe Biden had nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business dealings, derived no benefit from it, received no money, and did not know anything that Hunter Biden was doing, nor did he ever discuss it with Hunter Biden or the business associates. That's literally impossible. Now, maybe you can technically say that Devin Archer never said that any of those things happened directly. So you could say,
you can make the argument.
You can make the argument that Devin Archer never said that he was talking about business. Devin Archer Devin Archer said that, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden never discussed, business specifics in front of him. Okay, you could say all of that, but you can't. It's not possible that he was in so many conversations with Hunter Biden again, we're supposed to believe that Joe Biden got on the phone. Yeah, Joe Biden got on the phone to say hi dozens of times to promote the brand, make Hunter look good, say hi, talk about like you said, and then never had any type of follow-up conversation with his son about who was that? What are you guys working on? What are you doing these days?
See, I'm trying to figure out from the oversight committee that heard what they heard from Devin Archer, who is more confident in their analysis that this happened? Because right now, I feel like the Democrats, they're eager to send out this transcript because the specifics, those words aren't specifically
he never
said.
specifically says.
But Andy Biggs seems like he is also very confident that there is
Jim
something
Jordan.
there. And Jim Jordan, who I think Jim Jordan is a very trustworthy fellow. So, as much as a politician can be.
Sure.
That is what I am looking for right now because we don't have the information. So I'm looking at the confidence of the people on the oversight committee, what they have said, if they are ready to jump in with the transcript, have it to the public, or if they need to take a step back, analyze this a little bit more, and come up with a better argument.
Yeah. I would say that is because Jim Jordan and Andy Biggs and others are using common sense to connect the dots.
Absolutely.
To let you know what the story is. That it's obviously this. Now, a lawyer would tell you it could be as obvious, it could be as plain as day what happened, but you still have to have proof. You still have to have evidence. And just because we all assume or even know that he was talking in code or was intentionally not connecting, that's not good enough for prosecution. I get that. I also believe that there has been plenty of evidence outside of Devin Archer, including Devin Archer's testimony, tied in with everything else that
Tony
we've learned
Bobolinsky.
from Bobolinsky and the laptop and the whistleblowers and all of it together, that it paints a crystal clear picture of what was going on and Joe Biden's knowledge and involvement in it.
It will be a fight for semantics, though, like you brought up yesterday.
Yeah.
That is going to be what this is all about.
Yeah. And as I brought up last week, it was, we also have to remember, there was that report that threw me off a bit last week about how Devin Archer was in hiding, which makes you think like, maybe it's bad between him and the Bidens. But, we talked yesterday about how Guy Smiley he was. There's pictures on screen right now. How he was.
Big man on campus.
He couldn't have been happier. He was thrilled to be there. He had the biggest cheese-eating grin on his face the second he got out of the car to the time he got back in. So what is it? The reason I bring this up is, and I mentioned this last week, you have to remember Devin Archer was Hunter Biden's best friend. Do we know that he's not still his best friend?
Yeah.
How do we know that he wasn't still there to protect the Bidens? And so very intentionally did not. Like, everybody acted like, we got him, it's Devin Archer, he's going to spill the beans. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, the only way to know is those transcripts.
Yeah, are you sure that he was there he didn't seem like he was there to expose the Bidens, because he obviously didn't give that type of information.
Or what shady things happened between him and the Bidens, like we talked about with Virginia Kruta yesterday, with Jill Biden and her ex. I mean, there are layers to the onion that we have to peel back. And the only way to do it is for us to see. But I don't know.
Devin Archer's definitely smart enough and very capable enough to answer the questions without giving away the direct. Yeah, he got on the phone 20 plus times, but I never heard him talk about business.
Right.
Look at how old Joe Biden is.
I don't even know at this point if he cares. He's just like, whatever.
Oh, he cares when
he's
with
chilling, reading on the beach.
Yeah, I thought that was a really important interview that we had yesterday with Virginia Kruta. I recommend if you don't already subscribe to the podcast, you should, because we put every day's show out as a podcast right after we get off the air. We're on basically every podcast platform there is, and we had Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire on with us yesterday. She joins us every Monday afternoon at about 2:45, and we were talking with her about an article that she just wrote for the Daily Wire. You can read it on thedailywire.com. Just search Virginia Kruta stories and you'll find it. And she talks about how in the 80s, in the early 80s, that the Biden family, the way that they treated Jill Biden's ex-husband, there was some argument years after their divorce. I want to say that they got divorced in 1978, and this incident happened in 1982. So still 4 years after their divorce, there was some argument about a home that was owned by the ex-husband, and Jill Biden wanted it. And Joe Biden's brother called and harassed the ex-husband. You better give Jill what she wants. You better give the Biden, Biden family
that's their
Jill
behavior.
Right. And then lo and behold, a couple months later, that ex-husband is convicted of federal tax crimes for an $8,000 tax evasion charge. Now, 30 years later, Hunter Biden's is millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter Biden is millions of dollars of tax evasion and not in jail. And yeah, $8,000, it wasn't, is more. That was a bigger deal then than it is now, but we're talking about maybe $15,000 in today's money. So this guy was harassed and threatened by the Biden family in the early 80s, and then all of a sudden levied with federal charges. Joe Biden, of course, was a United States senator. This all happened in Delaware, which is, his hometown. So I thought it was such a great conversation because it shined light on the behavior of the Biden family for decades. They've been doing this forever.
Well, and don't forget that Devin Archer, too, something happened with the DOJ where they were trying to intimidate him before his testimony. So they sent him a letter or something of that manner and tried to intimidate him before he did his testimony.
That's another great point. You know what? If Devin Archer ever gets brought up on criminal charges, do you know who is the one that is presenting those criminal charges? The DOJ.
Mm-hmm.
The DOJ is ran by the Bidens.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get in the good graces of the DOJ right now, you don't expose everything about Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. The mess that is the Biden family.
Right.
Our president of the United States.
Exactly. So you gotta take into account all of those things when you're looking at this story from a big picture standpoint. And yeah, it's just, I guess you have to decide if you truly believe that Joe Biden was truly only put on the phone 20 plus times.
Insane.
To say hi. And there was never any conversation before that, during that, after that, with the people that he was on the phone with, or even with Hunter Biden, his own son, about who was that guy? What are you guys working on? What are you guys talking about? Would you ever be that way with your kid? Would you not follow up? Would you not ask your kid
what's going on in your life?
What's going on in your life? What are you guys working on? Who was that? What are you guys doing? No. But we're supposed to believe that. And apparently, allegedly, the transcripts never say directly that he was talking business. He was only put on the phone to promote the brand, whatever the hell that means. All right, we will continue to unpack this story with Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com. He's going to join us in just a moment. Also, there is some drama going on down in Florida between Ron DeSantis and Kamala Harris. A story that is definitely starting to pick up national attention. And also, it was gas stoves, it was microwaves, it was air conditioners, and now it's light bulbs. As of today,
add it to the list.
As of today, the majority of light bulbs that are used by the American people are banned.
Great.
So
Didn't Obama make light bulbs?
most of the light bulbs in your house right now are not something you'll be able to buy ever again, according to this new law from the Biden administration.
Crazy.
Yep. So we'll get into all of those stories and more as we go through the day here. It's a busy Tuesday on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday at 4:05. We'll speak with Josh Hawley about his new book, and at 5:25, State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick on the budget surplus.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s New Country streaming now.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Joining us now on the line, as he does every Tuesday at this time, is the great Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com. Crane, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug, especially in a crazy world like this.
Bringing it in for the real thing and holding on tight. How are you?
I couldn't have said it better myself. So Katie and I just kind of went through our thoughts and unpacked what we have learned and digested in the last 24 hours with the Devin Archer testimony in front of the House Oversight Committee, the closed door testimony, which we can get into what you think about that also in a minute. But where are you at? What's been your reaction to this? Did we learn some damning information, or was this not as big of a deal as we had maybe built it up to be?
Well, President Biden is really concerned about the weather. Maybe this is just some green push. I don't know. That happens to be the story, in my opinion, the story about the story, the coverage of the story, and how CNN's out front and bringing you right away, hey, you know what? The alleged, they used something, illusions of a business relationship, working relationship. We don't know what was said, but even if President Biden is just sitting there, the fact is that he has to be scheduled for that call as vice president. He has to knowingly be there on the phone, and that alone sends a signal. hey, I got Dad here. Dad has the juice. Here it is. And so I don't buy into the idea that Joe is just there to say hello or talk about the weather or the Red Sox, for heaven's sakes. I don't know. But I don't buy that. But as it is, we don't know the testimony. We don't know the testimony, and we've got to go with the substance. It looks really, really bad, and it looks like he has and continues to lie to the American people regarding the relationship he had with Hunter. If Hunter benefits, then he benefits because it's the Biden family. So the idea, well, Hunter was separate, but he's using you to get the deal, and then they have to go trace the money. It's not a good day for President Biden. It sucks for the mainstream media because, once again, they are exposed to be the shills they are for the Democratic Party.
Couldn't agree more. And what we do know is that he said that he may not have said, Devin Archer, may not have said that Joe Biden was specifically on the phone to talk about Hunter's business dealings. And he said, apparently, said that he'd ever heard Joe and Hunter discuss Hunter's business dealings directly. But he did say that Joe was put on the phone to, quote, sell the brand. What does that mean to you?
It's think of the mafia, and the brand is intimidation. It's what we can do to you if you don't go with us on this. And hey, look at my power. I went after a prosecutor that was corrupt in the Ukraine. Well, you could say, well, that's corruption in Ukraine, and it's ubiquitous, arguably. And so he went after one guy, but it did demonstrate his power and willingness to act. And that goes to the quid pro quo and the notion of that, using the power. Why is he there if he's not there to sell the brand? And by selling the brand, once again, the brand is, I'm in power, I have access to power, and I am going to be able to do things for you or use that power either against you or for you. That's the implication.
So, Crane, this could be a very tedious, long process. It could be very quick and short. Either way, whatever happens is the next natural thing if there is a there for Biden to be impeached.
Yes, that would be the natural course of events.
And what does that do to the country?
There's a lot of ifs there,
Yes.
by the way.
Yes.
But that's on the table. And then you go into, well, what happens? Because he's already kind of fading out. And notice how he's stressing the family thing and welcoming his 7th granddaughter. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's good. Why? Why now? Because I see it as what we talked about originally. How is he going to deal with Hunter and the connection to Hunter? And it was, he's my son, he's an addict, I'll do anything for him, right? So he's selling the family values idea. And then what changed between the 7th grandchild being mentioned and not mentioned? Well, we have progress, ostensibly, in the investigation, at least, by Congress to look into Hunter and the connection to his father.
Do you see that impeachment being a reality anytime soon? And if so, what's the timeline?
Yeah, I just I hate to.
No.
This,
it's okay
I
to.
just truly don't know.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I truly don't know.
I ask because I don't know either.
Yeah, it's the caution, and the caution here is, in my opinion, I think Republicans have to, and what Americans want to hear about is, yes, they want people held to account. They're tired of the two-tier justice system, and they don't really like the choice as it is for Trump or President Biden. And so what they want to hear about, well, number one, I guess, would be immigration. From the polls I've seen, immigration is way up there every time. And that really goes to the foundation of our country. Are we a nation of laws? And that goes to stressing issues. If the election becomes about issues, Republicans will win. If it becomes about this performance, cartoonish nonsense, I don't think they'll win.
Yeah, which I think was proved the last time. I think that it was difficult. I mean, COVID was the wild card in the 2020 election. It was obviously impacting everything. But that campaign by Joe Biden, the one that ultimately won him the White House, was all about running against Donald Trump and pointing out all the bad things and the way he talks and the way he acts and the way he handles himself. It wasn't about policies. It wasn't about the condition of the country. Certainly not the condition of the country before COVID, because they couldn't win on any of those issues. But if they, to your point, Crane, if they are able to stick to, that type of a campaign and run against something and turn, somebody into the boogeyman, into the bad guy, and run against that, then maybe that is their only possible way at being successful. Do you see that being a viable strategy, though, this time in 2024 without the COVID pandemic to sort of hide behind? Whether it's Donald Trump or obviously Donald Trump is the best person for that strategy. He's the easiest one to apply, in my opinion, to apply that strategy.
That's why
to.
I think he's being promoted by the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Go ahead. In the sense of go ahead. Pardon, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was just going to say. I was just going to ask. Do you think that will work in 2024? Do you think that type of strategy will work without President Trump being in office, without COVID to hide behind? Can they dodge the policies and the facts of life, for lack of a better term, like they did in 2020?
Well, I believe a recent poll is showing Trump within the margin of error of beating Biden. I'm not totally sure where the source of that poll is and the credibility of that poll, but it's gotten closer. And you also look at his disapproval numbers. I'm talking about Biden. I still believe that it motivates those on the left to have Donald Trump be on the ticket, and whomever is opposing him, boom, they're going to vote for that group. And that goes to why Democrats don't want RFK or Cornel West on the ballot. They don't want to siphon votes away from that. So that's one part of the answer. The other part of the answer is, will people come out for him? We had an extraordinary amount of people vote in the last election, and the greatest shift in the election numbers of people voting. So from 2016 to 2020. So now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, will people come out in support of Joe Biden? They didn't for Hillary, but will they do it in support? So it's not only running against Trump, it's also supporting Joe Biden. That's why it's so important to find a candidate that can stick to the issues while addressing the past grievances. But I don't think Americans are truly interested at the top of their list for revenge policies. Accountability, yes, but revenge, no.
I'm so glad you brought up Cornel West. I don't know if you saw this. So we've talked recently on this show and in other places about how the Democrats don't want RFK Jr. He is a Democrat, RFK Jr.,
right,
but they don't want anything to do with him. And the liberal media, the Democrat-supporting media, doesn't want anything to do with him. They want to try to make him as crazy, conspiracy theorist.
Well, he has a record.
He does.
No, that's true. But they don't. But if it was another candidate, they would be, if it was a different type of candidate, I think they'd be changing their tune. And there's a lot of people with records that the media supports and defends or sweeps under the rug, their past discretion. And, they're not doing that with RFK Jr. because they don't like him. And Cornel West, I don't know if you saw this recently, but this was on display again. I encourage you to look up. Last week, Cornel West was interviewed by Anderson Cooper on CNN, and Anderson Cooper went out of his way to make Cornel West, to put him on the defensive every question, to question his beliefs, to question his past. And this is Cornel West, every other time I've seen him interviewed on CNN or MSNBC or anybody, he has always been this left-wing hero, this progressive hero. But again, they are so afraid of anybody taking away votes or support from the Democratic Party, from the Biden administration, that they are trying to make. I'm serious. Go check it out.
Oh no,
Anderson Cooper trying to make Cornel West out to be this nut job, which is, look, you can think whatever you want about Cornel West, but that is a 180 in the type of interview that you would normally see with Anderson Cooper or anybody else on CNN or MSNBC or most of the media with Cornel West. It seems to me, Crane, that They're doing that. The guard is up higher than it's ever been to try to defend and protect this Democratic Party because there's so many issues with it right now. Do you see the same thing?
I do, and it really puts the rest of us in America it's a huge vulnerability when the fourth estate doesn't do its job, because these things really don't go away. It reminds us about the two-tiered system, about the use of the weaponizing of power of government agencies. And when you don't have the mainstream media actually going out and saying, hey, guess what? We're going to give you, maybe tilt a little left or this. They're so far to the left that they ignore the other stories. And that's where conspiracy theories develop and gain currency. It's a dangerous time. They're not doing their job. So it's up to so many people in the sense of, like, for example, Colombo and Katie, when you entertain different questions and different views staring at the same issue. So we can get the perspective and say, hey, guess what? I see President Biden and his relationship with his son, and I think he's a liar. When I see President Trump and the classified documents, I see him breaking the law if what alleged is true. So did Hillary Clinton. But let's put it all out there and be all right with it. The denial and the rabbit hole when it comes to scandals, for example, Benghazi and IRS under President Obama, and they say no, scandal-free presidency. This is where trust is broken.
So, Crane, let's flip over and talk about the GOP, the Republican side. Trump has a possible indictment happening, maybe two. But Tony read a fascinating poll yesterday that he is still 54%, I believe, highest
54% in the new
New York Times
poll.
poll. What is that reflection on our party? What does that say about us if Trump has these two possible indictments on top of the other indictments and he's still ranking and surpassing everybody else in the polls?
Yeah. Regardless of how I view, in my opinion, on the politics of President Trump and the indictments or the coming indictments, potentially, I think he's running a great campaign. He's doing what he needs to do. He's sending the signal that he is going to be justice for the American people in the way of, hey, look, they all want to go after me. I did this before. I can do it again, and I can finish the job. And he makes some very good points in the sense of the first 2 years of his presidency being hamstrung by a BS bunny stew allegation.
Oh, easy.
And so I think he's running a fairly good campaign. I look at DeSantis, and I think his reset has turned into another reset, and I'm not impressed by it. He's
Great point.
defensive. His answers, I mean, the RFK answer, being flippant about that, I just go, wait a second. You're supposed to be the guy, not just somebody who can bark at a particular cultural issue and take action, though I appreciate his actions. I respect the fact that he has done that and has a record. But, hey, people want to know how you're going to govern, and they're not looking for Trump in a way of making comments and doing political entertainment. Only person who can do that and do it well and the best is President Donald Trump.
Yeah, and get away with it. Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, and get away with it.
Talking to Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com. I actually want to get into a story involving Governor DeSantis in a moment, but just to close up this part of the conversation, Crane, are you disappointed or surprised in any way about the lack of connection that Ron DeSantis has made since breaking through? Because as Katie pointed out, and as we discussed yesterday with the release of that most recent New York Times poll and that's not the only one. I mean, this has been the consistent. This has been shown consistently throughout various polls taken over the last few weeks. Donald Trump continues to gain momentum. He already had a massive lead, and he's only extended that lead over the last few weeks. And Ron DeSantis has dwindled a bit. And anybody that has gained momentum on the right, like a Governor Tim Scott or somebody like that, the little momentum they've gained seems to be solely at the expense of Ron DeSantis. Nothing taken away from former President Trump. Are you surprised and or disappointed at all in the early goings of this race and the lack of serious competition against the former president?
I'm surprised at what an atrocious campaign so far Governor DeSantis has run. I'm a big fan of his in the sense of this race. I think he's the guy. But what he's demonstrating is he went with this new idea. Hey, we're going to talk to certain media outlets and we're going to starve out the mainstream media. Look, Ron DeSantis needs to tell his story, and he needs to tell it from his personality. Authenticity is everything. And he needs to go anywhere and everywhere and talk to Americans, not Republicans, not Democrats, Americans. He needs to make his case why he is the man who is not only going to restore order in the sense of justice system and the use of power or the weaponization of power by government agencies, but he needs to make the case to all sides, all Americans, because that is the only way he's going to attract the kind of support he not only needs in the primary, but the general.
Well, as I said, speaking of Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, he has been at the center of a controversy and story that also involves Vice President Kamala Harris, the two of them going back and forth in the media about new curriculum in the state of Florida about United States history and the way that slavery is covered. And I think this is a super interesting story, and this doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It's only been heating up in the national headlines, and this debate is starting to sweep across the country and not just in the state of Florida. So I want to get into those details and get your thoughts on it and continue the conversation with Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com in just a moment here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com. Follow us on Rumble at newstalkstl. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Mark McCloskey here, and my friend Mike Lindell and his team at MyPillow are having a big sale to celebrate their 20th anniversary and the sale of over 80 million pillows. Mike and his team want to thank everyone by giving you the lowest price in their history. The MyPillow queen-size pillows that are regularly $69.98 are now just $19.98, and for just $10 more, you get a king size. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs to help you get the best sleep ever. Patty and I have slept on MyPillows for a long time, and we just got our new 2.0 pillows and a set of Giza Dream Sheets, and we love them. Go to MyPillow.com to get queen-size MyPillows for only $19.98 or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE. In addition to this special anniversary offer on the MyPillows, you will also receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE to unlock these savings.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Didgeridoo.
It is cool.
That's good stuff.
You sound just like it.
Ho! You get in the background, you got.
Doesn't he sound just like it, Crane? You couldn't tell.
I could give didgeridoo
in
lessons.
studio. That was fantastic.
I could give didgeridoo lessons if I had to. Welcome back to, this is a news program, folks. Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.941. I am Tony, that's Katie, and on the phone is the great Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com, and Crane diving back into, you know what, it's a ridiculous world, so we gotta be silly and laugh sometimes, otherwise we'll go crazy. Talking about Ron DeSantis in that last segment and how he has found his way into a national controversy here surrounding a recent law passed down in Florida surrounding education curriculum. Kamala Harris, the vice president, continues to attack Florida Black history curriculum. She said in a recent interview that divisive extremists were trying to require an unnecessary debate on slavery regarding Florida's Black history curriculum, demanding that they stop. The Florida Board of Education recently approved a new curriculum for African American history with a section on how, quote, slaves developed skills in which some instances could be applied for their personal benefit after slavery, which has been twisted to create another way for the left to attempt to divide the country and create a racial controversy where one doesn't exist. Quote, that's my opinion, by the way, from Kamala Harris, quote, I don't think that this is subject to any ideological debate to say that people who were enslaved did not benefit from slavery, period. And I'll say this also because it almost seems ridiculous to have to say what I just said, that enslaved people did not benefit from slavery. There are so-called leaders, extremists, who are attempting to require it in our nation, an unnecessary debate with the intention, I believe, to try to divide us as Americans. Stop. They decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it. Everything that she just accused the Florida curriculum of doing, and twisting the message and gaslighting and falsely representing, that's exactly what she is doing. That is exactly what she is doing with this history curriculum, which I actually think is really good because it's telling the whole story. Something that I think that we need to do a better job is teaching our history. And they don't one bit, if you look at this curriculum, the way they're teaching this in Florida, they don't one bit sugarcoat the horrors of slavery. It is not painted out to be a positive thing.
That's not what's taught
or
in
a
schools.
beneficial thing in any way whatsoever. However, it does paint the entire picture of when one instance, and they're latching on to, one example of something that's taught in this, which is a much larger overall message, that slaves may have picked up skills working, farming, working,
while being oppressed.
While suffering some of the worst human conditions you can possibly endure, no doubt about it. But they did learn, in some instances, skills that were beneficial after they were freed. That they had the knowledge on how to, plant food or run a house or whatever it may be, because they were forced, because they were slaves, which is terrible and horrific and definitely taught that way.
190 times.
Yes.
As Charles Cook points out in his articles about this. Yeah.
Yes, and in fact, the former chairman of the United States Commission on Civil Rights and Florida's African American History Standards Work Group member, Dr. William Allen, who has been, this has been his life's work, is civil rights and teaching history. He said that the way that Kamala Harris and others on the left have described the Florida curriculum, he calls that categorically false. He said, it is never said that slavery was beneficial to Africans. What it says, and anyone who reads this will see with clarity, it is the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served to their benefit both while enslaved and after enslavement. That's a much more honest representation of this. And now, of course, she's attacking Kamala Harris, and the media are attacking this curriculum in Florida, which is also they're using to directly attack Ron DeSantis. And Ron DeSantis is calling on Kamala Harris to debate it. He said, let's go on any channel, any network you want, any TV. Let's go on. Let's have a national debate, and we'll get to the bottom of this. And I think that's great. Obviously,
that's a strong idea. More exposure, yes, absolutely. But listen. Think about the power of the legacy media in giving this a bullhorn. They could have shut this down in the same day that she said it, and actually held her to account because of taking things out of context and therefore getting conned by the text. This is the problem. We don't have a large enough megaphone to reach people before the lie gets out. BLM, hands up, don't loot. I always come back to that. Hands up, don't shoot. The idea is it was built on a lie.
Yeah, it never existed.
Built on a lie. This is a contextual lie, and she continues with it. And the fact is, by just reporting the truth, you expose it for the lie that it is. It's disgusting. It's awful. And it's shameful. It is doing terrible things to relationships between Americans in this country. Now, I don't think it's going to have much of an effect. I think that people are going to say, oh, racism, all the stuff, as Ben Shapiro would say. The fact is, we go back and forth on this. And we go and take a good look at where race relations started to have a problem. It was 2014, I believe, if you look at the polls in that way. We're not a racist country. We have people attempting to divide us by using charges of racism, but their substance of those racism, of those charges, is oftentimes shown to be absolutely wrong. Though we will always have idiots out there. There will always be supremacists of some kind. There are white supremacists. There are black supremacists. And slavery, I think we can all agree, was hell.
Yes,
Awful.
and that is what is taught in the curriculum in Florida, is that it was awful, and it was hell, and it was the biggest violation of human rights that could exist on the planet. But it teaches the entire story. It teaches exactly what Dr. Allen said. He said, again, the quote is, "It is never said that slavery was beneficial to Africans. What it says is, and anyone who reads this will see this with clarity, it is the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served to benefit them while enslaved and after enslavement." That's what it teaches. And for Kamala Harris or anybody else on the left to say that people that are defending this curriculum are gaslighting and lying is the biggest hypocritical, ironic, insulting.
They think they're intellectually challenged.
Yeah.
They must think that because they've retarded the discussion on race and what it means to be an American. And it's awful. But it's a great opportunity, DeSantis points out, to expose it, to put them on the lines. That's why I am advocating always for candidates to make their case, not to the Republicans, not to the Democrats, but to the American people.
And Crane Durham makes his case to the people of the St. Louis area every Tuesday afternoon right here on Colombo and Katie. You can hear Crane here with us, and you can also keep up with Crane every day, all day at nothingbutTruth.com or on the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. Crane, as always, really appreciate your time this afternoon and look forward to talking to you again, my friend. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Love you both. Take care.
Back at you. Love you, buddy.
Thanks,
Great
Crane.
stuff there from Crane Durham. And yeah, this absolutely, it's just
incredible.
It's
Oh
just
my God.
amazing to hear Kamala Harris accuse anybody of twisting a message and gaslighting the American people when that is exactly what they do, and she has been doing every single day of this administration. All right, as we mentioned, it was gas stoves, and it was microwaves, and it was your air conditioner. Now it's light bulbs that the Biden administration is coming after. We will talk about that. Also, speaking of irony, there's a lot of irony on the other side of the country coming out of California right now. They are relying on fossil fuels heavily to get through this heat wave. Yeah, pretty amazing, right? We'll talk about it in just a moment here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. In Pittsburgh, a jury continues its deliberations on whether Robert Bowers, who killed 11 people at a Pittsburgh synagogue, should receive the death penalty or life in prison without parole. The architect, accused of murdering at least 3 women and leaving their bodies along a remote stretch of coastline near Long Island's Gilgo Beach, has appeared in court. Rex Heuermann's first court appearance since his arraignment. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the U.S. is working to free a kidnapped American and her daughter in Haiti.
We're all very, very mindful of her case, and certainly mindful that she has a young child with her, and we're doing everything we can to try to secure her release.
Alex DeSainville was working for a nonprofit Christian ministry when she and her daughter were seized by gunmen who burst into the clinic in Port-au-Prince last week. Also at townhall.com, an anti-Semitic attack in Memphis has been averted.
Memphis, Tennessee police say officers shot a suspect after he attempted to enter a Jewish school with a gun and fired shots after he couldn't get into the building. The suspect, whose identity has not been released, approached Margolin Hebrew Academy Finestone Yeshiva of the South around 12:20 p.m. on Monday. He fired several shots and then left in a maroon truck. It's not immediately clear if school was in session. Officers soon found the suspect's vehicle shortly after that. Officers then shot the suspect after he exited the truck with a firearm in hand. The suspect was sent to a local hospital where he's in critical condition. Keith Peters reporting.
Pac-12 leaders have been presented with details of a long-awaited media rights deal. No further details about prospective network or streaming partners nor the value. Stocks finishing mixed, the Dow up 68 points, but the Nasdaq lost 62. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. My name is Jason Hansen. I become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. Be on guard for some heavy rain overnight into the morning drive. This could slow down the morning drive with 1 to 2 inches, maybe some isolated higher total, especially to the west. Low of 69 degrees. Rain will taper off towards midday, 83 for the afternoon high, but be on guard for some storms that could redevelop in the evening. If we get those storms to redevelop Wednesday evening, some of those could be strong to severe. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Colombo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. We've been using pest control services at our home for years, and the results we've had with All Solutions are second to none. So if you're experiencing a pest problem, or more importantly, want to prevent a problem, All Solutions Pest Control are the ones to call. Right now, you can take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer. Learn more and contact them now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This is the perfect time to upgrade your home. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Window World. Their number is 314-993-1800. Improve your home with Window World's double-strength glass windows. Those come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. 314-993-1800. Get a free in-home estimate. Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. 314-993-1800 or windowworld.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill.
Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com
or on your radio
at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
Welcome home.
Fox News commentary.
The Trump campaign has spent more than its Q2 fundraising total on legal fees, and yeah, I'm a bit concerned. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Here's something you've never heard before.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Introducing 24/7 Lifeguard Protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced Home Security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
To new reports, Trump's PAC Save America has doled out more than $40 million on legal costs in the first half of 2023 alone. This money has gone not only to fund Trump's legal defense, but also to his advisors and others swept up in his legal snafus. That $40 million is more than the campaign raised in the second quarter of the year and the single largest expense. A lot of this fundraising money has come from small dollar donors, so a lot of average, everyday Trump-supporting patriots who wanted to chip in with the hopes of re-electing the former president. So if Trump-supporting patriots are well aware their hard-earned money is going to help pay down the legal fees for a billionaire, that's fine and dandy, and y'all can obviously send and spend your money the way you see fit. I know many Trump supporters want to help him with these largely political, unfair, and BS legal battles, and I get it. Just know what you're paying for. That's all I'm saying. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Everybody has a right to have their opinion and voice their opinion.
Live and local.
I always approach it from this standpoint. Leftist malfeasance is presupposed.
This is News Talk STL.
You walk in the room with a smile, only heaven knows what you do to me. And there's no telling why you come at all. 'Cause I can't be seen or heard as the seconds fly, the minutes go. Something crazy is coming over me.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Great conversation there in the 2 o'clock hour with our buddy Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. If you missed any of it, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast. We put every day's show out as a podcast shortly after we get off the air on basically every podcast platform. So just whatever your favorite one is, make sure you're subscribed to Colombo and Katie. Also, don't forget about the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel and how you can watch us every day there on the YouTube channel, or you can watch us every day on Twitter, on Facebook and on Rumble. Just make sure you're subscribed to News Talk STL on all of those platforms. Speaking of Twitter, did you see this? The giant X sign?
I did.
That was on the building?
I did. How weird.
To celebrate the changeover from Twitter to X.
How bizarre.
They had to take the sign down.
Is it because of the
They didn't
length?
They didn't get a permit. And there was all kinds of complaints.
Oh my gosh.
The
Ding-dongs.
the giant X sign has been removed from the former Twitter, now X headquarters, the building. The move comes after the San Francisco Department of Building Inspection received dozens of complaints about the unpermitted structure over the weekend, including concerns regarding its structural safety and flashing light. Quote, this morning, building inspectors observed the structure being dismantled, said Patrick Hannon, the city's Department of Building Inspection Communications Director. He also said that, quote, a building permit is required to remove the structure, but due to safety concerns, the permit can be secured after the structure is taken down. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You have to have a permit to take the structure down, but you can get the permit after you take the structure down?
That does not make any sense.
Well, that's the government. Quote, the property owner will be assessed fees for the unpermitted installation of the illuminated structure. The fees will be for building permits for the installation and removal of the structure and to cover the cost of the Department of Building Inspection and the Planning Department's investigation. X Corp, which is Twitter, told the press that the removal was voluntary.
It did seem, whenever I was reading the headlines of this story when it first happened, I think last evening, it did seem misleading. Some of the headlines definitely made it seem like it had something to do with the name, like the actual
like
name.
They were taking down that. No, it has
Yes.
nothing to, like they've changed their mind.
Yeah, like
they're getting rid of the X.
Oops, never. It was like an April Fool's joke almost.
Yeah, no. That's not it at all.
And
You're right though. Now that you say that,
seemed
there
that
was
way.
actually the story that I originally read. Kind of the headline kind of indicated that, like it's the end of X. Like it's the end of the X.
Yeah.
Like it was like
It's being taken
making
down.
it seem like the company name was changing or they were going back to Twitter or they whatever. No, that's not it at all though.
But if that's the first thing that I thought, I mean, definitely it was the journalist type of writing, but it's also the first thing that came to my mind because I'm like, I wouldn't be mad if they took the X down to be like,
yeah.
Didn't
Yeah, 'cause
really
it's
work.
dumb.
It was a trial and error kind of thing. We
Yeah,
should go
'cause
back
it's
to
dumb.
Twitter. I wouldn't have been mad whatsoever, and I wouldn't have blamed Elon Musk to be like, tried something out, failed, going back to Twitter.
How is Tweetless Tuesday going? Anybody know?
I think
Have you even heard anything about it?
I've been on Twitter. I did not tweet, but it seems normal. It seems very
Today was
normal
supposed to be
activity.
Tweetless Tuesday. It was supposed to be the way to tell Twitter that you were upset with the move to X. And if we just nobody tweet for one day, we'll show Elon Musk how unhappy we are with Twitter. So today is supposed to be Tweetless Tuesday.
So, see, someone tweeted out, I don't even know who this is, just another person in the world.
Just a person.
The X has been removed from atop of Musk's building in San Francisco. I haven't seen an X taken down. Never mind.
Easy.
We'll just move past that.
Easy.
It just seems like everybody had this buildup in their head that the X was deliberately taken down.
Yeah. As some kind of sign about the...
Yeah. Like,
about
we
them.
didn't like X.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
It was a structural thing.
Biden administration will now begin enforcing a nationwide ban on various types of popular light bulbs. This starts today as part of its aggressive energy efficiency agenda. Under the Department of Energy's regulations, manufacturers and retailers will be prohibited from selling incandescent and similar halogen light bulbs, which represent a sizable share of the current light bulb supplies. Instead, manufacturers and retailers must sell light-emitting diode or LED alternatives or risk substantial federal penalties. Quote, it's impossible for Democrats to leave us alone. States must fight back, said Representative Bob Gutta of Virginia. Quote, President Biden continues to push liberal fantasies through his weaponized federal agencies. This is from Representative Andy Barr of Kentucky, who also added, quote, the Department of Energy should be focused on American energy independence, not on what light bulbs you can use or purchase for your home or business. While U.S. households have increasingly switched to LED light bulbs since 2015, fewer than half of households reported using mostly or exclusively LEDs, according to the most recent results from a residential energy consumption survey. So that means that more than half of the light bulbs that are currently right now being used in the United States, and probably in your house right now, as of today, are banned. So we're going to have to do
something else, I guess.
Completely different.
So why, I remember the Obama era light bulbs. I remember that being
the curly cues.
The curly cues. Huge thing,
which my
huge
wife
wave.
hates.
I didn't know anyone who liked the curly cues. They were weird. They were super hot, like unbelievably hot.
So the curly cues, I like the fact that they like don't burn out. They like take forever.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
they were more expensive, and they have fixed this since. But my wife hated them because she didn't like the light. It's that more harsh, like bright white instead of the soft white light. Like these in here, like the soft white. It's not like the doctor's, like the doctor's office bright fluorescent. Yeah. Style light. Now you can get those but for a while you couldn't. For a while at the beginning, like all the curly Q lights were that real bright white, and she was like, "I'm not having this light at my house. I'm not having that type of light all through my house."
But why is it that when they're asked about something like this, when they're asked about policies, there was AOC was ripping on it, saying like, this is a total ploy. This is a distraction conjured up by the GOP. We're not going after your gas stoves. We're not going after your refrigerators.
It's not true.
Every single member, whenever they are talking about just things in general, I see clips of like AOC and others just saying like that's totally made up. That's completely conjured.
Yeah.
What? Why?
What's completely conjured, what's completely made up is the idea that if we stop using a certain kind of light bulb, that all of a sudden the environmental problems are going to be fixed in the country.
Like that.
It's the the dumbest thing since straws.
But why? Yeah, remember that.
Yeah, since the attack on straws.
The attack on straws.
Like you could stop if every human being on the earth stopped using plastic straws right now today, it would have the tiniest fraction of a percent impact on the overall pollution environmental problem of this world. It would do nothing. I thought Bob Good said it. I think it was Representative. No, it was Representative Barr. Excuse me, Andy Barr, who said that that they need to be focused on the Department of Energy needs to be focused on American energy independence.
Absolutely.
We can ban gas stoves, microwaves, air conditioners, light bulbs, straws, all of it.
All you want.
None of it matters when we are reliant on the rest of the world for energy, for oil, for power.
That and none of it matters if nobody else does their part.
That's a fact.
So it's like
that's the biggest fact.
And I know that John Kerry, he went over to China 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, trying to talk to them about green energy and trying to talk to them about pollution. I'm like, bro, I understand the effort, but China is one of the biggest pollutants. Indonesia, huge pollutant. India, huge pollutant. Okay, you're going over to ask them, why would they stop whenever their manufacturing is so high, whenever they're doing energy independence in China? Why would they stop anything? It doesn't make
right.
The effort doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And in fact, it makes it they're only motivated to produce more if we stop.
Yes.
Because then we already don't provide the majority of our own power. If we stop even more of it, we're going to be even more reliant on which is going to make them want to produce more fossil fuels and drill for more oil and all of those things.
And they don't care about
we pass a law about light bulbs.
Yep. Gas stoves too.
It's a joke. Mm-hmm. It is a joke. I personally believe that there is an environmental problem in this country, in this world. And I believe that we do need to do something to address it. So I'm not against taking steps to clean up the planet and to clean up the environment. But outlawing half the light bulbs that we use, or not being able to get a plastic straw at the fast food restaurant,
waste of time.
that is not how you do it. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources, and it inconveniences Americans, and it doesn't solve one even fraction of the problem.
Absolutely not.
It is not productive at all.
Totally agree.
So it's just ridiculous. And here's some proof. The state of California continues to rely heavily on fossil fuel power plants to keep residents and businesses safe and cool during this ongoing heat wave. According to data compiled by the California Independent System Operator, more than 40% of the state's total power grid supply derived from natural gas this past weekend, the largest share of any source. So, by far, the people of California during this heat wave are getting their energy from fossil fuels more than anywhere else.
Look at that.
Renewable power, mainly solar energy, accounted for nearly 34%, which is a good chunk, but was only effective during peak sunlight hours between 8 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. So, again, it's only 34%, which is nothing to scoff at. That's a good chunk of the power being provided by solar power. But it's only a third of the power coming from that to begin with.
Yeah.
And it only works, it's only effective during the day. Do you think you need your lights? Do you think you need your electric at night? Do you think you need your air conditioner at night?
That's the unresolved problem, is that, like, and if you see countries like this, now it's for a different reason, but North Korea is the best example with South Korea. Their government has a hold on electricity. They have a hold on energy.
Yes.
To where you see the stark contrast of North Korea. I mean, their government is absolutely wackadoo. But you see a stark difference between what the federal government can do when they dictate things like bans on energy for you to utilize. It doesn't make sense.
The state's grid is dependent on fossil fuel plants during the nighttime and morning hours when solar energy infrastructure isn't producing up to its capacity. That includes the period of highest electricity demand at around 7 p.m., when this past Sunday, natural gas generated 45% of the state's power compared to just 27% generated by renewables. Quote, California's climate goals comes with a high cost that the public needs to understand, said a spokesman for the Western States Petroleum Association. To meet their goals, he said, quote, the state will need 3 times the electricity production we have today, 30 times the number of electrical vehicles on the road, and energy infrastructure will need to be built at a historical pace. Still, Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom has argued fossil fuels are to blame for climate change and continues to push policies to get the state off of traditional power sources. He said, quote, we're asking everyone to stay alert to changing weather and take the necessary steps to keep themselves and their families safer from deadly heat waves. Yeah, you know how you keep yourself and your family safer from deadly heat waves? You turn on the air conditioner that's being powered by fossil fuels.
If anybody stays in California at this point, it's on you. It is on you.
And again, I don't want to be reliant on oil, our own oil or oil overseas. I believe personally that is not sustainable and not good for the country going forward. I think wind power and solar power and green energy are all very good things to pursue, but you have to pursue them at a realistic pace, and you have to do it in a way that doesn't put the country behind everyone else or put citizens in danger of, like you just said, of not having power or having the
I couldn't imagine
having the federal government determining when you can turn your lights on and when you can't.
Appliances in your home.
Or changing, putting in requirements on thermostats that you can't turn your air conditioner any lower than 75 degrees or something ridiculous like that, where they are, like they like to do, controlling every aspect of your life and controlling every action that you take. We can move forward. We can move forward, and we can find these solutions. You know what? Not usually. You know what? Always is the way that we solve these problems, with capitalism and ingenuity.
Yeah.
Let
people make their choice.
You let the people. You let the smart people that know, that can figure out a way to harness solar, wind, whatever kind of green energy it is, and build a system that's better than the existing system that they can make a bunch of money doing and they can benefit the world doing. That's why that's the Industrial Revolution. That's why we build cars. That's why we build airplanes. That's why we've made all of the biggest moves forward in human history. Not because of some timeline determined by a federal government somewhere that said, look, you have until this date to figure out this problem because we're taking away everything. That's not how it works.
No.
That's not how ingenuity, that's not how
America works.
That's not how the world works. That's not how the world works. So we will get there, and we need to get there. We need to clean up. We need to do that stuff. We need to address the environment. But the way that the Democrats go about it, the way that the people that support this federal overreach, this federal control of everything, the way that they go about it is not productive, and not productive at best and dangerous at worst. And this proves it, I think. This story, what's happening in California, proves that perfectly. All right, we have had some crazy storms in our area here recently, and you guys have heard me talk about how much we have benefited from the great team at Gutter Pros. We had a major gutter issue at our home, and when these storms would roll through before we had our gutters fixed, it was very anxiety-inducing because the gutters were not working. Water was pouring out of them and forming at the base of our house, and we were scared every time that there was going to be a giant leak. And then we met Dave Sylvester and his team at Gutter Pros, and it has been awesome ever since. We are going to talk to Dave Sylvester. He's going to join us in studio. We'll talk to him about some of the things you can do to protect your home and prepare as these storms continue to happen in our area. And we'll do all that here in just a moment on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Just like the angel from up above.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3, and newstalkstl.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
At 7:50, we're giving away another pair of Mannheim Steamroller tickets, and then we're talking about the Missouri governor's race. Which candidate is the most pro-life?
Morning starting at 5:30
on News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo back with you with broken headphones. There we go, got them. It is a new month, as we mentioned. I can't believe it. August is here, and with a new month comes a new awesome offer from the great team at Zero Res. Zero Res are your cleaning experts that can take care of your home. They can clean just about every surface in your home, and take it from me because they have cleaned just about every surface in our home over the years, whether it be furniture, upholstery, tile, carpets, air ducts. They have got you covered across the board, and right now they have an awesome offer for you for the month of August. If you call and book a cleaning with Zero Res and just mention the Colombo special right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus you can take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Again, all you have to do is mention the Colombo special when you call and book your cleaning in the month of August. A great time right now to get your carpets cleaned, because if you haven't had Zero Res out to your house recently, your carpets are not only a huge investment in your home, but also the number one air filter in your home. And as kids are getting ready to go back to school and you're having those end of the summer barbecues and parties, maybe late graduation parties or anything like that, you know, you and your family and your guests and everybody else are rebreathing all of that dander and those germs and the bacteria that are caught up in your carpets. So take advantage of this awesome offer and get that taken care of. Again, just mention the Colombo special, and you will get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, and you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards, it spells the same, ZeroRes.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In 2018, LeBron James went to his hometown of Akron, Ohio, and put up money to start a new school to help educate young people. Great idea. They called it I Promise School. They thought it would definitely help the community. That was then, and now there are big questions. The state of Ohio found that 2 of the I Promise biggest subgroup of students, black students, and those with disabilities, are now testing in the bottom 5% in the state. And they also see that out of the 8th grade testing, out of 8th grade math testing, not a single 8th grader at that school has passed the state math test in 3 years. Who's to blame? Well, of course, you have many pointing the finger, but the bottom line is the kids are suffering. The Akron School Board president, for me as a board member, I think about all the resources we're providing. I'm just disappointed we're not getting the changes we expected. That's an understatement. The school, the teachers, the parents, these are kids that need help. LeBron James did his best to help them give a good start. Where did it fall through the cracks?
For more, listen to the Larry Connors USA Daily Report tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
This is a scary time when it comes to your money, especially if buying a home. That's why you need Homestead Financial Mortgage. I know the owners, met the team. You can trust Homestead will be with you every step of the way. Call 24/7 with any question or concern. Homestead is on your schedule, not banker's hours. This is not just about buying a home. It's about trust. You can go to my website, larry.homesteadfinancial.com. larry.homesteadfinancial.com. Hundreds of homeowners and businesses had or will have water main breaks. Wellington Environmental has a warning. You can clean up the water, but if you're not checking areas where the water leaked in the walls where you can't see it, you could end up exposing your family, your employees, your clients to hazardous mold. Wellington Environmental reminds you, if that mold is not detected, properly treated, removed, that is a risk, a liability you do not want. Wellington clients, including hospitals and schools, trust Wellington to make their environments safe. Call 314-644-4930, 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau, 314-644-4930. Wellington Environmental, your world, cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis. Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1
and newstalkstl.com. When it's important to you, stay informed. It's on News Talk STL.
We all have so much more in common than what separates us.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey. There hasn't been a Republican official in the country that has beat the Democrats more on issue after issue. We can't take a chance in this election.
News, analysis, and opinion.
My general opinion of testimony in Congress is that most of it's just BS.
1019 and 94.1.
I don't know what's happening.
News Talk STL.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo in studio, of course, with my partner Katie Fitzpatrick. And if you're watching on the cameras, you will see that we've also been joined by a guest in studio. I love it. I love when people come over.
Me too.
Katie, I always
So
love
fun.
when we have guests in the studio.
Especially
Dave
this guest.
Sylvester from Gutter Pros is here with us. Great to see you, buddy. And I would imagine that with all these storms that have rolled through the area, you know, we usually think about our roofs or things like that when it comes to flash flooding, when it comes to these big storms. But I would imagine that your team at Gutter Pros has been really busy over these last couple weeks with these severe storms.
The phone has been ringing. The website's been getting hit really hard.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting time because, you know, the rain season normally isn't July.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
we usually get that April, May, you know, but then all of a sudden we get these.
And we didn't really have a busy April, May, did we?
No, it wasn't.
There was like no rain
Right,
this spring.
right.
And it's
And
all happened over the last couple weeks.
You watch these little these red bursts of these red cells that are coming at us. It's and I just sit there and think, oh boy, it's going to get busy.
Here we go. Yeah.
It's going to get busy.
So what happens to gutters? I mean, you know, like we're all used to, especially if there's hail or strong winds involved in a storm, we know, like, you know, you can kind of visualize the damage that would do to your roof with your shingles or blowing, you know, tree branches all over the place. But what specific damage happens to gutter? Like what are gutters susceptible to in those types of storms? And you know, what can people look for after a storm to see if, you know, that happened?
Great question. So obviously, like on your place, the tree branches can just ding up your gutter really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Hailstorms are also just as effective on gutters. I was looking at a guy's house yesterday, copper gutter. He's up in North County. And at one point, there were golf ball size hailstones that hit the inside of the gutter coming from a different angle.
Oh, wow.
And forced the copper gutter, which is a soft metal, forced it out. So you see these big, like blisters almost. They look like blisters. They're so big. So, I mean, copper gutter, aluminum gutter are very susceptible to the big hailstorms as well.
Yeah.
So, and wind. Wind can get in behind there and rip them off.
I feel like the wind has been insane, specifically
Yeah.
with these last few storms.
Oh, yeah.
Traveling wise, Tony, we were going to the birthday party and I was driving. I'm a great driver. Don't listen to whatever Tony has to say next. I am a good driver.
A big mistake.
And the wind was like, it was raining and the wind just felt like it was pushing over the car. I can't even imagine what that does to a house. My driving was fine. It was the wind. It was the wind, Dave.
Here's the whole trip. Here's the whole trip. Here's the whole trip. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Oh, this wind. Oh, man. Oh, baby.
No, I believe it.
That part is true. I am a very vocal driver.
Very vocal.
I'm a vocal.
Oh,
the situation at all, by the way, Dave. But the wind was bad.
No, and you know what else, Tony? You've asked me before about like gutter covers and stuff.
I was going to ask you about cover cutters.
Yeah, if your gutters
Would that
are
help you
full,
in the hail situation?
It will in a way.
Yeah.
Sometimes the gutter covers get damaged severely, but you know, those that don't have them on the house, if the gutter's full of debris and it gets over that outlet tube where the water goes down into the downspout, now you got water cascading over.
Yeah.
And
so that is one of the things, as you know, happened in my house.
Yeah.
And I think is another thing that people can keep an eye on is that whether you're right by a tree like my house is, or close enough that a branch or whatever can blow and hit it. Before we moved in, apparently, which was the problem at our house, that a tree or a branch of a tree had fallen on the house and it dented the gutters. So at first glance, maybe you wouldn't notice that there was, but it was dented and it was bent down in a way that it disrupted what was supposed to be the flow of the water to go down the downspouts.
Yep.
It all pooled in the middle because of the dent in the gutters, which created a little like a waterfall that would go over the type.
Perfect description.
Yeah, and then because there was no downspout there in the middle, it just created a giant pool. And I mean, like literally in the landscaping in front of our house was a permanent indentation, a pool that would fill every time it rained. And every time it rained, we'd be panicked that water was going, because it was pooling up at the base of the house and it was going to get in the house. So another
scary
example of what the storms can do to your gutters.
They can. And these intense rains that we're getting, I heard a forecast for tomorrow morning sometimes said 1 to 2 inches of rain. When you get that kind of rain, and if there's any chance that your gutters are slightly clogged, you're going to see overflow. And I know that creates a lot of panic. And we're about to go, you know, it's August 1st. You were talking about it. we're going to be swinging into the fall within just a few weeks, and the leaves are going to drop like crazy.
My old home, which you didn't see, had we had a big gumball tree in our that hung over, and the downspouts and the gutters would get completely clogged with gumballs. I mean, another reason, like I've asked you before, like why wouldn't you have? Like to me, it's like you should have the gutter,
at least
the leaf
something
protection.
up there, yeah.
Unless you, like you've said in the past, like unless you live in a big field or something, then maybe
you got nothing around you.
Yeah, but another thing I think that people, all the stuff that we're talking about, all of these issues, all of these conditions, all of these things that can happen at your home, they can also happen at your business.
Yep.
And I would imagine that maybe people don't think about or worry
correct.
about their gutters at their business as much as they do their home.
Yep.
But that can be a big mistake.
It can be. And matter of fact, we're going to be doing some work over in Belleville on Main Street. And it's just a situation where the gutters have been let go for a long, long time. And the owner of the building just finally, he's like, my gosh, I just didn't even pay any attention because everything's on the back of the building. Why would I even go look?
Right.
But it is a real issue. So we're going to help resolve that for him.
And I would imagine that there would be some maybe more unique issues, or maybe not as much if you're a business that is, if you're surrounded by a concrete parking lot, if you're own a business that's in, you have a building that's in a concrete parking lot and there's not trees around, that you may just get sort of falsely comfortable with the idea of I don't need any gutter, I don't need gutter covers because there's, we're in the middle of a parking lot and there's no ground for there's no ground to absorb the water or whatever, and people, I think, just don't think about it when it comes to their businesses.
That's exactly right.
And they can let that go for a very long time, and it can create a problem.
It can.
So before we run out of time, talk about how people can get a hold of you, obviously, but also some of the services that you offer, because it's not just the gutters and the gutter covers, but also basically the entire support system, the fascia and the soffits and everything else. Let's talk a little bit about Gutter Pros and how people can contact you.
So go to gutterpros.com. That's the fastest way, and you can fill out a free bid request there. As you always mention in your announcements about us, we do free estimates, and we're happy to do that. And we want people to be aware of what they need, and then you can take it from there, right? But yes, we do. Sometimes you'll see a piece of gutter coming off of a house. That may mean you've got rotted board. So we can do board work like that. We can do soffit and fascia. We do a lot of that. We can do vinyl siding if you're looking to replace the siding on your home or to put siding on your home for the first time. We do all that as well.
Yeah.
And we have great crews. Right now we have 9 crews.
Oh, wow.
And they're 3-man crews, so they're excellent. And we're getting to jobs within 2 weeks, and maybe just a little more than that. We may lose a day or two with the rain, but we're moving on things quickly, and we're really happy to provide the services to the St. Louis community.
So basically it's your gutters and anything in the neighborhood.
Yeah, gutters and anything attached to it or anything that looks like it.
How
Right?
fast is a process like that, Dave? How
As far
fast
as-
is the work, like for just a typical home?
So for a simple gutter job, you can do a couple of them a day.
Yeah.
If it's a really intense job, then it
You
might
guys
take
did
a
mine
day or
in
day and a half.
less than a day.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it just depends. And with 3 guys, it helps to move things along pretty well. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I can't recommend. I don't know which of the 9 crews I got, but your guys were, like I said, really fast, really friendly. I was, going to work, and they're up there on the roof, and they're waving, and they're saying goodbye, and have a great day. And,
yeah, they're great crews.
Great team, and just a great service that you can take advantage of in for your home or for your business. It's one of those things that, sometimes is not as top of mind as other home improvement projects are, right up until the fact that you need them.
Right.
And if you have a gutter problem, and we have these storms like we've had in our area recently, and all of a sudden you've got water in your home, in your basement, or, coming through the base of your house, that's a big problem, and you can prevent that by making sure that your gutters are happy and healthy.
That's right. And I've been doing this 33 years. It's not like I'm new to this field of labor. So
Absolutely.
give me a call. I'd love to help you.
They're the best. Gutter Pros. Learn more and contact them at gutterpros.com, and definitely take advantage of those free estimates. At least, like you said, Dave, you can get those get your questions answered, figure out how big of a deal it is, figure out what's going to be involved in it, no cost to you, and make your own decision from there.
Excellent.
Yeah, can't recommend them enough.
Love to help you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Dave Sylvester from Gutter Pros. Again, gutterpros.com to learn more and contact them now. All right, that's going to do it for Colombo and Katie this afternoon. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, keep it right here. The O'Reilly Report is next, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show at 4, and then the Larry Connors USA Daily Report at 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Are you wanting to improve the look and efficiency of your home? Well, one of the best and easiest ways you can do that, get some new windows. Window World, simply the best for less. You can give them a call today at 314-993-1800. Over 20 years in the business in the St. Louis area, over 70,000 satisfied customers. That's because Window World uses double strength glass, gives it a